Hello everybody, my name is Nathan. Welcome back to Let's Play Hearts of Iron 4 Kaiserreich as South Africa. Let us continue on from where we last left off. So, we are currently proclaiming our republic. So in 56 days, we'll become independent. Now, luckily for us, there's no real way for the Entente to actually come and kill us. Rhodesia should rebel. Natal should rebel. But that's really about it. Like, right now, the Entente's really dealing with a war in India. More troops are going to be sent over there. So as long as the troops are in India and not in South Africa, we should be okay. Maybe. We'll get two of you guys. Sounds great to me. And yeah, is there anything we need to worry about? I mean, we could recall our volunteers from MacArthur now, which I think actually does make sense. Because I do want these troops at the on the home front. We've done, I think, as much as we possibly could with MacArthur, right? We helped kill the PSA. We took Chicago for, I think, a brief moment in time. If they can't do it on their own now, I don't know if they'll ever actually be able to do it. But I want these troops back, and then we recall our volunteers, and they will be back on the 21st. The centenary celebration reaches Port Elizabeth. Jocks wagons of the centenary celebration have arrived in Port Elizabeth, after having passed to medium-sized towns like Stellenbosch, Parel, Worcestershire, and Swellendam, and a myriad of small towns and villages. In all these settlements, the festivities have been a resounding success, bringing out the wave of intense Afrikaner patriotism. However, the city of Port Elizabeth is primarily inhabited by English speakers, who are quite hostile to the celebration of Afrikaner culture. And for this reason, as well as the unfriendly attitude towards Afrikaners espoused by its mayor, Klopras decided against seeking the confirmation by holding a parade through the city, with the parade instead directly moving on towards the small town of Willesmoor. And after that, to the Great Graf Rennet and the site of the Staliker Neck Rebellion in 1816, which is regarded as one of the reasons behind the original Great Trek. Well, that is going to be another negative 20 points for us for political power, but honestly, it's fine. Portugal, I mean, okay, they do border us, but as far as I'm aware, Portugal should not join this war. They typically don't. Whenever I've seen South Africa rebel, very rarely do I see Portugal actually join the war. But they don't have like a modifier that says they can't, so I'm not too sure if maybe we're going to find out a nasty surprise. Let's just put it that way. That that Portugal actually will join the war, and we'll have to directly invade Mozambique, which is fine. If I need to invade Mozambique, I'll invade Mozambique. Okay, bring these troops to the front. Let's go for offensive doctrine. Sounds great. And I'm thinking, do you think any of our units are going to get deleted when we rebel? It's hard to tell sometimes, because I don't know how many of our units would theoretically be English-speaking brigades. I know a handful of generals will go away. That's why we replace our generals here with loyal Afrikaners. Deploy you. Actually, get rid of the front against Germany. That's way less important than having fronts on, well, we'll be Rhodesia and Natal. We're missing the one rubber. Don't worry about you too much. Officer Corps. What's here in the army? What do we have in here? Metal cost reduction, superior firepower. Artillery experience from combat goes up. Railway entrenchment. I mean, that can be nice. Cavalry attack. Political, I mean, 10% political. Actually, this actually just seems really, really good. Yeah, we'll go state serves the military. Give us our political power bonus. Give us a negative 25% on our cost. And the celebration that reached Bulhoek. Now the reenactment of the centenary celebration has arrived in Bulhoek, near the border of the Orange Free State. After having visited the Graf Rennet and having paid respect to the executed Afrikaner rebels at the site of Staliger's Neck, as well as the more smaller villages and towns. At Staliger's Neck, the festivities were especially massive, and in every town there was a parade arrived the song Die Stem van Zuid-Afrika, is sung by the crowd. Despite its limited size as the farm near Steinsbroek, Bulhoek is significant because it is the birthplace of Paul Kruger, the famous president of the South African Republic, Transvaal, who eventually died in exile during the Second Boer War. Here, too large amounts of people are welcomed to the parade, if not as many as in Stalch Neck, Tomorrow the parade will pass into Steinsburg proper, and within a few days the ox wagons are expected to cross into the Orange Free State, leaving the Cape Province behind. Well, I appreciate we got a little bit of our political power back there. And 1940, 1938, anything in here, 39 techs are all on its way. Let's make our way down to fuel refining 1, because we won't have a ton of oil, unfortunately. The findings of the Steyr Commission. The Native Laws Commission, led by Volksraad member Paul Olivier Seyer, has publicized his findings regarding the native South African population. The Commission has recommended, concluding that the current situation increasingly results in the creation of a native townships with squalid living conditions. That South Africa should significantly tighten its racial segregation laws. By forcibly removing the native population from our urban centers, we can ensure the white population does not have to unduly compete with native workers who work in similar positions at a much lower wage. By establishing racially segregated trade zones, these businesses can then be protected from undue competition in other racial zones. I see. Okay, so toxicity goes away 5%. Paul Olivier Seyer becomes a recruitable advisor. More war support and more population factor, which I mean could be good. Because right now, we're at 80%, which is much better than where we were in the past. What were we at? We're at like 45%. So, I mean, we have more troops than we've ever had previously. These units are looking... Do I want to deploy them early? I think I do, because even though they don't have enough rifles, I just want more men on the front, which I think is going to be a little bit more important for us. Expand Iron Mines in Transvaal sounds great to me. And in 3 more days, the Republic will be declared and be ready to go to war. Okay, first let's read about this Entente situation here. After successfully crossing the Orange River, leaving behind the Cape Province and entering the Orange Free State, the Oxwagon Parade has arrived in the city of Bloemfontein, which, as the seat of the judiciary, is the second capital of South Africa. They visit after starting in the legislative capital of Cape Town. Once the parade will arrive in Pretoria, our seat of government, and the reenactment will have visited them all. In previous cities the parade visited, many street names were renamed to honor the Afrikaner heroes, but English-speaking town council of Bloemfontein has refused to follow suit. In response, Kloper has refused to use the new oxen provided by the city, and has made a statement by pulling the wagons through the city by hand. At the same time, torches were revealed by the young participants of the trek, which had apparently been kept alight since the parade left Cape Town. The rest of the month will be decided to trek to the site of the Battle of Vegkolp near the town of Heilbronn. In a declaration of a republic. It is done. Parliament has passed the Republic of South African Constitution Act. The act makes significant changes to, and renames, the South African Act of 1909. All references to the British monarchy have been replaced with Republican terminology, and the office of the Governor-General and Prime Minister are to be merged into the single new office of State President, a nod to the executive office of the Boer Republics, who is to be elected by a joint sitting of the Volksraad and the South African Senate at the start of the legislative term during the duration of said term. State President appoints the cabinet, now to be called the Presidential Council, and can be removed by Parliament for the misconduct or incapacity following investigation by a joint committee. If the office were to become vacant, for instance because of removal, the President of the Senate would become acting State President. This year's Parliament would remain the Parliament of the New Republic. The entrenched sections of the South African Acts were left unamended to ensure a simple majority would be enough to pass the Act. The passing of the bill was swiftly followed by the election of Dr. D.F. Malan as South Africa's first state president. Okay, so stability goes down by 10%. We gain 10% more support for the party. Union of South Africa will be renamed the Republic of South Africa. We'll get a new leader for the Paternal Autocrats. We'll leave the Imperial Conference. We'll leave the Entente. We remove Wavering Dominion. So that's a stability boost, a war support boost, and can theoretically join other wars. Fantastic. Hello, Francois Malon. And with that done, we can replace the pound. We'll get that going. And we should very, very soon see some uprisings in the country. Global Revolution is in Poland. Not super important for us. And you're in Natal, you're in Rhodesia. These would be nice to do after the war. Okay, we've left the IDC. We've lost the military factory. Unfortunate. But what can we really do about that? I mean, I guess not rebel against the monarch would be one thing we could do. So the Rhodesia votes to secede. The settler population of southern Rhodesia have never been fond of South Africa. Unlike the other provinces, southern Rhodesia was not one of the founding provinces of South Africa. It was shoehorned into the Union in 1922 as compensation by London and Pretoria with the support of the BSAC, because the contemporary governments of Boer War and Jan Smuts hoped that it would temper the public outrage in South Africa after its forced evacuation of Southwest Africa. The white settler population was not consulted in this decision, despite having clearly rejected the proposal, the prospect of union in the elections of the Advisory Council in 1919. Since the integration, the South Rhodesians have been continuously electing secessionist majorities in their provincial council, but unwilling to lead the British Empire as a whole. They were deterred from actually following through with their rhetoric of leaving the Union. Now that South Africa has abandoned the Empire, the provincial authorities in Salisbury have swiftly affirmed their allegiance to the King Emperor and declared the independence of their illegitimate republic. And Natal should follow soon. There we go. Disturbing news from Pietermaritzburg has arrived. When the news of Southern Rhodesia's secession arrived, the Natal provincial authorities scheduled an emergency secession of the provincial council, which until 2 days ago was in majority control by the South African Party. The question of independence was immediately raised, as the Natal South African Party split into three. Hette Nicolases formed the Union Federal Party with the largest group of SAP councillors, and the UFP does support reunion with on the non-negotiable conditions of restoration of the monarchy and the institution of a federal system. Secondly, there were the Dominionists, who voted in favor of secession and claimed that they would henceforth only ever accept reintegration under circumstances of an authoritarian government, ensuring British South African supremacy of the Afrikaners. What's left is the SNP councillors who voted against secession. The Dominionist Party and the UFP swiftly formed an independent coalition and declared the succession of Natal from the Union with a majority, following in the footsteps of Southern Rhodesia. It holds a degree of irony that the pro-imperial secession takes place almost exactly a century after the declaration of Boer republics in Italia in this same city. So we're going to do a quick little save here, mostly because in case at one point in the future if I want to play in Natal or Rhodesia, we can quickly get that done. But we will stand with Republic. The wars will be declared, and we'll get our units here. And we're going to split you up into two smaller armies just because that'll be easier for us to actually manage. So we're going to get these guys ready to go. Delete this fallback line. You guys will be here. And you'll be ready to push your way into Pietermaritzburg. But again, because we knew that this was going to happen, it does make our life substantially easier. You can go here for now. Give us the air superiority. Sounds good to me. And we're going to move in here and here. You're going to move in like so. You're going to move in like this. You go take this province. You move your way to the capital. And you're going to move your way over to Durban. And then for our northern front. Infantry expert sounds great. You two will occupy this division. You will go take the supply hub and move your way straight to Salisbury. You'll move your way up towards Salisbury as well. I don't know how many troops they have, but we'll see. Germany will send us 5 volunteers. Holy. A new Boer War is broken out. Unfortunately, forcing a premature end to the parade of the centenary celebration. The wagons have stopped and the drivers have taken up arms, as have other participants of the festivities. It's a shame that the hated British rendered us unable to complete the reenactment of this historic moment, but it's clearly God's will that the festivities are prematurely abandoned. Besides, one can hardly argue that there's a better way to honor the Volksstrecker ancestors than to shoot cocky scum, trying to force their petty tyranny on the free Afrikaner people in 1938 as well as in 1938. Okay, so we will lose political power, which is fine. We literally have no stability, which, I mean, does seem pretty bad for us. And what about you? This is for 10 chromium. Again, we don't need chromium. We literally have so much of it. Loyalist militia rise! Our choice to seize a moment and declare independence is far from universally supported. While both the Cape and Transvaal provinces have full-on declaration of secession, they could have been avoided on account of a large segment of conservative Afrikaner populations that strongly support our Republican cause. These provinces still have significant white English-speaking demographics, licensed by our abandonment of the imperial fold. Certain groups of liberal Afrikaners in the Cape have also sided with the Anglo-South African cause to bring South Africa back into the imperial fold. As such, militias have declared support from the Natal government have risen up. We'll crush these traitors for sure. You guys just hold your position. One of you go back down towards Port Elizabeth. General Smuts has announced his retirement. For most of his life, General Smuts has been fighting for the holistic vision, harmony between the two white races of South Africa, the English speakers and the Afrikaners. So the bloodshed from the Boer War could have left behind, and Afrikanerdom could have thrived in peace. Now, the brazen actions of the Afrikaner nationalists have resulted in the removal of structures within which the Union of South Africa thrived. And the battle line's been drawn for South Afrikaners to once again fight one another against another. Afrikaner against Britain, South African against South African. For Jan Smuts, it symbolizes the failure of his life's work. The road of reconciliation met a dead end. It is therefore that he today announces retirement. His mission failed. He would not take part in the senseless massacre of British South Africans and Afrikaners alike by choosing a side. Okay, sounds fine to me. The Naval Volunteers defects. Disaster. The Naval of the Navy of the Union of South Africa, the Naval Volunteer Reserves, have defected from our ranks and declared their allegiance to the rebels in Natal. While this is not much of a surprise, given the sympathies held by most of the Marine personnel and the inhabitants of the main Marine base in Simon's Town, it is still considered a setback of military control, and it could perhaps be delayed the influx of supplies from the British Empire. Okay. The Port Elizabeth Declaration. The traitors Natalians and their illegitimate parliament have passed the Port Elizabeth Declaration, which has been drafted by the mayor of Port Elizabeth. The document denies the legitimacy of the Republic of South Africa and makes for the Italian claim to be the true South African government, with the amended South African Act that entrenches the monarchist form of government and bases itself on the federal model similar to Australia and Canada. This declaration significantly increases the stakes of the war because now it is either victory or death. But we did get some free units. So we're going to send not all of you. We'll send those to the south. Move you guys up towards the north. And redeploy you as quickly as we possibly can. It looks like you've actually abandoned your capital, which does work nicely for me. The Third Boer War. The provinces with majority English-speaking whites, Southern Rhodesia and Natal, have declared their secession in the wake of our declaration of the Republic. While it is politically somewhat advantageous for the National Party to let the two provinces go, these provinces have always resisted the Afrikaner nationalist platform, and likely will never subscribe to it. While their absence will likely guarantee nationalist majorities in the future, and restoring order in these provinces would entail drenching South Africa in a bloodbath once more, possibly on the scale of the Second Boer War, allowing provinces to unilaterally secede from South Africa would be a disastrous precedent to set. What if in the future we end up in a conflict with the provincial governments of Transvaal, or even worse, and probably more likely the Cape Province? If given the provinces will rejoin the British Empire, it must be considered that they could form a security threat to South Africa if someday the homecoming is completed and Britain wants to recover its empire. With these concerns in mind, restoring the order in the provinces of Natal and Southern Rhodesia seems inevitable. Well, I appreciate more war support for sure. We will take your capital in just a mere moment. Thanks everybody for the equipment. I'm happy to take it. Revolution. We're going to take Port Elizabeth in just a moment. Support the push towards the capital. What do you have here? You have a troop at half strength, which is not great. Natal has joined the Entente. You've joined the Entente. Portugal, again, I don't know if they're going to join the war. That is, I think right now the biggest threat to us is a possibility that Portugal just join. And I'm hoping that doesn't happen for obvious reasons. Portugal has joined the war. Okay, that does make our life more complicated than it otherwise would be. We now need to drag this line out further down, like so. Go take their supply hub. You're now going to need to move your way into Mozambique. Go take this port here. Would it be silly to try to seize Portuguese Mozambique in a peace offer? Probably, yes. Yeah, 45%. We want to take your supply hub. More volunteers are arriving. That is a war against Denmark? Oh, no. Wait, so Italy's going to war with Switzerland? Okay. It's a bit of a strange one, I would say, but... Wait, did they join the Internationale? Huh. Weird. I don't think I've ever seen that happen. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I've never seen, those guys do that. Like, maybe I'm missing something obvious, but I don't think I am. So you can go take this port away from the Portuguese. You push these guys back. I want you to move your way towards Salisbury. Because I think if we kill the two smaller republics, we do just win by default. We have 162 days. The timer until negotiations for peace need to be held will be reset. Okay, so I mean, we need to win. Which is not a surprise that we need to kill both of these smaller rebellious states. 80%, 82, 89. I mean, we're getting closer. Anti-British outrage. The entry of the Entente in this war has stoked a great deal of anti-British sentiment among the Afrikaner population, many of whom remember the horrors of the previous Boer Wars. A large number of ranchers have cobbled together cavalry units to donate from donated horses, young and angry volunteers. Excellent. Okay. So we got a handful more divisions. We'll just send you all up to the north. I'm going to imagine that these volunteers are going to go away once the war actually ends. I don't think we're going to be able to keep these units, as nice as that would be. Okay, so we've taken the capital of Southern Rhodesia. We need to keep on pushing into various other provinces. Let's go take that supply hub. Sweden and Afrika, I do appreciate your support in this conflict. But I think that now, with the capital of both Natal and Southern Rhodesia captured, this is going to be a good time for us to end this episode. So if you enjoyed, thumbs up. Did not enjoy, you can always thumb down. If you want to see more, subscribe, and goodbye.